Good day, friends, and welcome to Our Power is Within. I am your host, Chaz Smith, aka Just Chaz, and I am on a mission to inspire people to take their power back and help people to realize that each and every one of us has a healer within our own self. When we create an environment that supports healing and get out of our own way, we are truly capable of healing in mind, body, and soul. Whether you have been following along this whole time or if this is your first episode, thank you for being on this journey with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you do feel called to help me spread the message of empowerment, healing, and possibility, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast, a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast, if and only if I've earned it, or sharing your favorite episode with a friend. As a reminder, beginning last week, we started a 5-week self-love language challenge series. Last week was words of affirmation, and I really hope that you spent some time staring into your beautiful soul and reminding yourself how wonderfully amazing you already are. This is week 2, and this week we are actually going to focus on acts of service. Some ideas I have to help you get your minds and hearts spinning. Maybe a loving act of service is preparing yourself a beautiful, nutritious meal and then allowing yourself the time to sit down and savor every bite. Or maybe it's not actually cooking for yourself at all, but asking or requesting from someone something you need, asking someone else to do something for you so that you can take the break you need. Maybe that is the act of asking for what you need. Honestly, the options are really endless, and I hope, as always, you just make this fun, have fun with it, and just really explore. Notice how it feels for you to actually do something really kind for yourself or to ask for other people to support you, and just see what comes up. So this week is fun. This week's fun, you guys. We have had so many episodes where my guests and I do talk about laughter and the power it has in the healing journeys. We have mentioned laughter yoga several times, but now today we have a wonderful guest, Bianca Spears, who is actually a certified laughter yoga and laughter wellness coach. And we get to have a full episode with her all about laughter. There are so many benefits of choosing to laugh, even if sometimes you might not feel like it. And the first few times that you give this a try, it might feel a little weird. But you know what? I say, fuck it. Give it a try anyways. I mean, what do you have to lose? Near the end of this episode, Bianca mentions a little tidbit about a new program that her and Lindsay Mitchell, who's the founder of Vital Side, have been creating. I will have links in the show notes for more info about this program. It is called Elevate. If you aren't familiar with Lindsay Mitchell or Vital Side, check out episode number 9, where I did interview her, and she does share a lot of great information in that chat. So if you have not heard of her, go back to episode 9. Elevate will be for anyone who has already been in any of the other brain retraining programs, who is looking to take their practice to the next level and integrate it into their daily life. These are 2 great women that I am so blessed to have gotten to have the opportunity to connect with, and I really think this is going to be a great program. Also, stick around until the end and laugh with us, especially if you've never tried laughing for no reason other than just choosing to laugh, because then maybe you won't feel so weird if you're laughing with us and not alone. Anyhow, I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's welcome Bianca to the show. Hey, Bianca, thank you so much for being here with me today.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a really fun chat. And I know we talked offline, and I had approached you and reached out to you because I know that I have a lot of people who I interview and have on the show where we kind of end up talking about laughter and the importance or relevance of it. And it's usually people who are having testimonials and experiences in their healing journeys and are using laughter tools. But I've yet to have anyone on here who actually coaches laughter tools. So this is going to be really fun.
Yes, very cool. I'm excited to dive in as well.
Yeah. And I think, as you know, laughter yoga has really taken hold in the DNRS and brain retraining community. And I haven't seen it have as much of an influence yet in some of the other healing kind of modalities and healing communities. So, and I know that my listeners are a wide range. So I'm really excited to kind of have this exposure for some people out there who might not already be aware of using laughter as a tool.
Yes, let's bring them on board. No more missing out.
Yeah. And I actually think it's a pretty fun story of how you ended up with such a strong presence in the DNRS community. So, I mean, I think to start as a little intro, it'd be awesome for you to just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, cool. I have no idea. So from what I can gather from my end, I started a coaching business in 2016. I was doing videos. I'd already been trained in laughter yoga years before. And I was like, hey, you know what? Like, no one's showing up in really on YouTube. There's Robert Revest, who is totally one of my heroes, and Sebastian Gendry, who's amazing, who created Laughter Wellness. And I'm like, yeah, cool. They got their own thing. They got their own vibe. It's kind of laughter online, and Madan Kataria, who's the creator of laughter yoga. But laughter yoga online on video looks like an old dude's game, right? There's no young, fresh energy. There's not a lot of female presence. How about I just run a laughter session in front of the camera? So I got on, I did a laughter video, which was one of my most popular videos still to this day. I can't remember if it's that one or the next one that I did, but it's getting close to 100,000 views now, which is exciting. And I just started recording some laughter yoga videos because I hadn't run sessions for a while, and I thought, hey, why not? My following with laughter started growing, and I started noticing that, I'd upload a mindset video or something more related to coaching, and I was getting 50 views. And then I'd upload a, laughter video, and I'd be getting in hundreds of views. And I was like, okay. And I actually didn't know, as I mentioned to you before we jumped on air and started recording, I didn't know why my YouTube following was growing and growing and growing and growing. At first it was kind of slower, but at this point in time, it's 80 to 200 people a month, new subscribers. And it wasn't until last year when I was approached to speak at or run a laughter session at the Rewiring Your Wellness retreat that I really realized who this DNRS community are and why they like me, because they're doing their rounds. I had no idea about any of it. And I think the thing that linked me in with them is because I come from a coaching background. I'm talking about reprogramming your unconscious mind and shifting your unconscious beliefs and all that kind of thing, blindly bringing that into my sessions through, the work that I've done, and not only laughter yoga, but laughter wellness, laughnosis, all these different cool things that I've learned that I'm bringing into my sessions, and kind of that's showing up as my flavor online, and they're loving it. And I'm kind of like, who are these people? I've got so many subscribers. I don't know who they are. And I'm running this coaching business over here, and YouTube's just going off. What do I do about this? And last year I finally realized, who the DNRS community are. I jumped on a lot of one-to-one coaching calls for a period of 2 or 3 months to kind of, just really understand what people are going through in their healing journeys, and how I might play a larger role in their healing journey as well.
Yeah, it's just so awesome. I mean, I know myself, I had no idea what laughter yoga was. I had never heard of it. Funny enough, I did hear of it one time prior to DNRS when I was traveling. I was looking at this board at this, resort I was at, and it was a laughter yoga class listed. And I was like, what is laughter yoga? And I think a lot of us, you hear yoga and you automatically have this idea that it's, of what yoga is. You think of downward dogs and warrior ones, and so I was just, and then you also think yoga usually has this very serious feel to it. You're in this serious kind of Zen zone where you're like breathing through poses. So I was very confused by seeing these words together. And at the time it didn't work in my schedule, so I didn't get to go check it out. And then it was only when I was participating in DNRS that there was all this encouragement to do laughter yoga, do this laughter yoga. And so it totally makes sense, being one of the persons experiencing the DNRS community, why you would blow up from everyone in there, because there's magic in it, and we've tapped into it and found that to be true.
Yes, absolutely. And I do love the rewiring community and the DNRS community because they're so embracing of things that other people might not be, but also so resilient and so disciplined in their practices that they're, laughing every day, which sounds like, yeah, why would you not? But it is a practice. And especially if you really don't feel like it, it is something so beautiful to start laughing and feel your way into it and let the laughter take over as well.
Yeah, 100%. I will say, I think I was about 6 months in, and I was kind of evaluating where I was at and how my commitment levels were, and if I was able to, do the pillars and what was missing. I was trying to figure out, am I catching everything? Am I doing the right things? What's missing? And what really shocked me was that the thing that was really missing was the laughter part. It was the laughter component. And because they encourage you to laugh every day. And I realized I had not put any effort into creating laughter because I just always assumed it would just be natural. And I never, until that moment, it was a huge epiphany where I had this realization, oh my God, laughter is the thing that I'm really limited by. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing every day, not even for 1 minute. And I thought, wow, it made me feel kind of sad to think that I would have never known that had I not been aware to look for it and know that it was so beneficial. So from that moment forward, that was when I started inquiring about a laughter yoga group and, realizing that laughter doesn't have to also be something that is sourced from outside of me. It doesn't have to be from a funny movie, but I can actually create it within me. So that was a really big eye opener for me.
Totally. And something you just said put some pieces together from what you were talking about before, where laughter and yoga, the words didn't seem to go together for you. And I often say to people, don't think of yoga if you do downward dog and laugh, you're probably just going to fart. But I was thinking, as you were saying before, laughter can be so serious. And I was like, yeah, laughter has a really inward focus, whereas we tend to think, yoga has an inward focus, whereas we tend to think of laughter as being a connector, which it totally is. But sourcing that laughter from within you for quote unquote no reason other than the plethora of benefits is an inward practice. And it is interesting to notice as you laugh, the space that becomes available within your body, within your mind. So in that sense, it is really a good fit, but it doesn't seem like it. And I completely agree. The phrasing doesn't seem appropriate at first glance.
Yeah. And it is when you really understand and see past just this common misconceptions that we have about certain things, So, because it's funny too, because for me, I realized also that although I wasn't finding or creating opportunities to laugh often, intuitively, I wanted to be, because when I was looking back, I realized that there was a period of time traveling that I was teaching these these classes, and they were playful movement classes. And the entire premise was literally to like move in very playful ways that elicited laughter and joy and smiles. And so it's funny how I was actually at one point just intuitively doing that. And then I guess somewhere in the, post my perfect storm, as I got a little so serious about focusing on the healing, it was realizing that that became a missing component that yet was so just normally
like,
intuitive.
I'm busy getting my healing done.
Yeah. Until you realize that the laughter is a major part of the healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on so many levels. So, I have, like I already mentioned at a little bit of the intro, I might have some listeners who actually have no clue what laughter yoga is yet. This might be a completely new concept. So could you give them a little just explanation for anyone who's like, what are they talking about? Yeah.
Welcome well into the podcast where we finally tell you what we're talking about. Thanks for listening so far. Laughter yoga. So laughter yoga is a practice that involves three main things. So deep yogic breathing, hence the yoga name. Laughter exercises, which are exercises that are designed to spark and inspire laughter. And we can give an example of that in a second. And the third thing is rhythmic exercises, where we're typically clapping, tapping, those kinds of things to stimulate acupressure points in the body, promote circulation, all these beautiful things. So then most people are like, okay, what's a laughter exercise? So a laughter exercise, a typical one might be at the start of a laughter yoga session, we always do a hello laughter. So you simply look someone in the eye. If you want to just hit pause now and go to the mirror and do this with yourself if there's no one else around, look yourself in the eye, smile, wave, and then choose to laugh. So it's something simple that means we don't have to use jokes, humor, or comedy to be able to laugh. It is something that we can actually just do. Same way as you go for a run. You don't run because you're escaping a leopard that's chasing you. You run because you understand the health benefits. And it's the same with laughter. It's like, I don't even know why people ask, like, why are you laughing? It's like, because it's great. It's good fun. I enjoy it. It's massively beneficial for my health and my wellness. Why would I not?
I agree. I agree. Because it's also really, really contagious, obviously. Well, from not even just ourselves. Like I learned that the more I do it, the more I want to and crave it and desire to just add it into my life more regularly. But also when somebody else is laughing, and even when you're like, well, what are you laughing about? It's almost like if they keep laughing, you're going to start laughing too. It's like a yawn. It's going to happen.
You don't need to know why.
Yeah. So what are some of the benefits of laughter yoga, or just laughing in general, some of the health benefits?
There's a lot of benefits. So typically we speak about the boost for the immune system, the lowering of stress hormones in the body, which allows us to come back into a state of balance. So we're lowering cortisol in the body. At first we're spiking adrenaline, and then we're lowering it as we become more relaxed. We're boosting all the feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters, so things like dopamine, oxytocin. Dopamine's the reward chemical, by the way, if you're not aware of that. And this is what helps laughter to become so addictive and contagious, is that we're sending this reward chemical through our systems that's like, yes, this feels good, do it again. Oxytocin, which is known as the love chemical or the bonding chemical. Serotonin, which is a natural painkiller, and endorphins that also just help us feel good. So endorphins are typically, people relate them with exercise. They're like quoted the happy hormone. So these are some of the things that happen. We're also getting a higher oxygen intake and pumping that through our systems. We're improving blood circulation. And over time is where with regular practice is where we see the huge benefits in the immune system. You can't just laugh once for like 5 minutes and then be like, oh, my immune system's just chockers, like it's boosted, it's done. It's over time that we develop the really, really good benefits through our immune system, lowering blood pressure, all kinds of different things. And I've seen what people would call miracles happen from laughter practices. Literally, the guy who trained me in laughter yoga, Merv Neal, who's here in Australia, had a rare bone marrow cancer, and was just they were like, it's so advanced when they diagnosed it that they're like, it's not even worth treating. Like, just get your affairs in order, enjoy. You've probably got 2 to 3 months, kind of thing. And so he went away and organized, saying goodbye to his family, organizing his funeral and all the rest. And he said, I don't know what, he's like, I still don't know what the oysters were about, but he's like, all I wanted to do was eat oysters and laugh. And his body just took over. He just started laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. And his family, of course, thought he'd flipped his lid. Like, he's been told he's going to die and he's actually lost the plot. Like, he's laughing. He's a maniac kind of thing. It wasn't the case. And he went back to the doctor a few months later and was like, hey, so I'm past my expiry date. Like, what do I do now? They did scans and, like, the cancer, I can't say if it was after that 3 months. It was like 4 or 5 years ago that I was originally told this story, but eventually the cancer literally disappeared from his system, from being at a point where it was like so life-threatening that they're like, we're not even going to bother to treat it. It's just beyond help, to a point where he was completely healed. And he then decided to start digging. He knew nothing about laughter yoga or anything like that at this point. He was someone who'd had a very high stress, high pressure life and had been running a very successful business, sold it, was retiring to actually live and enjoy his life, and suddenly like diagnosed with this cancer. So he decided to find out what the deal was, and I think it took 3 or 4 doctors of going like, how did this happen? And one doctor was like, oh, have you ever heard of laughter yoga? And he was like, no, what's that? And so he got onto laughter yoga. He met Madan Kataria, the creator of laughter yoga, and basically just dedicated the rest of his life to helping others to enjoy laughter and understand the benefits of it, which is really beautiful.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
His story is one of my favorites. I'm really going on a tangent here, but it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. Like, it's so powerful.
Stories are good. Stories like that give us a framework to understand what's possible.
Absolutely. So, and I spoke about the physical benefits. I mean, laughter helps us on physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. So it helps us on many other levels as well. It helps to, deal with symptoms of anxiety and depression. Of course, the reason why people love it so much in the brain retraining programs is because it does set a fertile ground for us to create new neural pathways. Elevated emotion helps us to learn better. I've got a client who uses laughter and language teaching to help people to consolidate, like just really embed the learning. Like, we've all been there where we go to classes and we've been through the whole textbook and we still don't get it. Like, we still can't remember. And she uses laughter to help people to, better improve their language learning because they're less nervous. They're in an environment where it's okay to laugh and be silly rather than feel like they're stupid or silly or making mistakes like an idiot or whatever. So it eliminates that element of nervousness. It opens them up. It opens up our creativity. And really helps us to embed memories, which is where it's super important for our healing, the changing of our brain, for manifestation, just so many good things.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
I think it makes me think it's interesting because maybe you can relate. You were talking about how you can read a whole textbook and be like, oh, I don't know anything, but I just read this whole
Mm,
textbook. When I am engaged in learning a new movement practice, I have to say, like, I'm shocked at sometimes how, how challenging it is. I have my whole background is in movement fitness and stuff like that, but I'm learning something totally new. And there's times that I'm trying to, like, my mind is telling my body what to do, but it's just not happening. Or, you're doing something and it's physically hard. Like your muscles literally can't do what you're asking it to do. And I find myself
yeah.
just cracking up. Like I literally just, I laugh because you think, why is this so hard? Then all I can do, my coach always talks about how I'm always just laughing and smiling in class. And it's because it becomes just it's so much easier, right? Though, like I think I used to approach exercise and fitness so seriously. And now it's just like,
Mm,
it's just another form of play. Yeah, there's benefits, in all capacities to move your body and exercise and work out. But at the end of the day, it's just, why not also just make it playful and fun? But it's just hilarious because now I used to get too serious and now I'm like, it just cracks me up. I'm like, wow, my body's not doing this. And I just can't stop laughing over it. So double
yeah, but the
bonus.
interesting thing is then the body like would relax from that and the mind would
And then,
relax and your
yes,
abilities would change instantly.
exactly. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to get at, which is because you said it actually can help us learn, like embed
Mm,
learning. And it's totally true when I'm not sitting there judging myself or psyching myself out. And then I just
mm,
laugh and let it be. I can actually then usually learn from it.
totally.
Yeah. 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 It's so awesome. Okay. So this is a really common question I get when I try to talk to anyone outside of the DNRS community about laughter,
Hit
which
me.
is, well, what do you mean? Like fake laughter is okay? Like wouldn't your body or brain know the difference between fake and real laughter? And I know that we can fake laugh, which usually also triggers real laughing, but I'd love for you to kind of speak on that behalf.
I'm glad you've invited me too, because this is one thing that really, I don't want to say turned me away from laughter yoga, but really had me embrace laughter wellness because of that slight um, difference in philosophy. So, in laughter yoga, yeah, we're taught that the body doesn't know the difference between real and fake laughter, and you can just fake it and you've still received the benefits, and it's been scientifically proven, and yada yada yada, and that's fine. If it's scientifically proven we're still getting the benefits, great. But for me, like, everything I do is about choice. Everything in my life, in my work, in my coaching, everything. If you've followed me online, I'll talk about creating your reality and choosing, and you literally do not have to do anything in your life that you don't want to. You always have choice. And when I studied in laughter wellness, I realized, yeah, we're talking now about choosing to laugh. We're choosing. And it's exactly kind of like what I said before, and I use running in comparison to laughter a lot because I hope that it drives the message home for people. But it's like, okay, say I get up in the morning and I want to go for a run, or I've set my alarm and I'm told myself I'm going to go for a run, and I don't feel like running. I can put my shoes on and force myself to go for a run and be like, oh, it's nearly over. Oh, I've got a little bit to go. Can't wait to get home and have a shower. I know that at the end of the run, I'm going to feel good for it, but I can either force myself through that, or I can be like, hey, this is good. Yeah, it doesn't, it's cold outside and you're tired or whatever, but let's choose. Like, let's choose to run. Let's see what's out there. Let's enjoy. It's a completely different intention and a completely different outcome internally and emotionally and mentally, because you've chosen and you're empowered versus forcing yourself. And I really feel so passionately about this, as you can probably hear in my voice, because I think it's so crucial. And the laughter takes over regardless. Like we all know that from anyone who's done laughter yoga, can be so resistant, but in the end you end up laughing and you go, yeah, that was pretty good. You're high on the chemicals, right? You can't help but say it was enjoyable because all the evidence is there inside your body. And you got that goofy smile that you can't give up for like another hour or two. It definitely works, and the laughter can take over, but I find it really much more empowering and much more beneficial on a holistic level to be able to choose laughter. And one of the biggest benefits I see in anyone I work with, whether it's in a coaching capacity and we bring in a laughter exercise to shift through something or whatever it may be, is the power of choice is amplified through laughter. Because if we can laugh, even if we're having a really hard time, or we're struggling, or we're stressed, or we're worried, if we can choose to laugh, even in those really difficult moments, we have so much power and choice available to us. And that's, I think, one of the most beautiful things about laughter, and where I personally use it in my life is, yeah, if I'm stressed, if I'm feeling rushed, like I've got too much on that day and I'm like, I got to get this and this done before I get on this call or whatever it is, I'll just start laughing, and I'll still move around, but I'll slow my movement down so that I'm not actually physically rushing around, and I'll start laughing. I use laughter when I'm seething, seeing red, angry, like raging. And I've used laughter to move out of that rage in the moment is like the best time to use it, because that's when we're wiring in our memory and our response to that event. So I had one situation about 1.5 years ago, and I was so angry. Like my partner was like, wow, like we've been together like 6 years or more by this point. He was like, oh yeah, that was a new level. Like I've never seen you that angry. And I went outside and I was hanging washing out, and I wasn't angry at him, but I was just so angry. And he was like, I could basically see fire in your eyes and steam coming out of your ears. And I went and I laughed, and I did not want to laugh. I did not want to laugh, but I chose to laugh. And I laughed, and it was like, like I did not want to laugh at all. But I kept laughing, probably ended up doing about 10 minutes. And by the end, I completely diffused any emotional charge I had around the situation. I still thought the anger was towards another person, and I still, on a logical level, I still thought that wasn't fair, that wasn't right for them to do that. But emotionally, I had nothing. I had no connection to it. And that was really insightful for me, because we store memory when we're emotionally charged. So whether it's with rage, whether we have a heightened emotion around love or sadness or whatever it is, like the heightened emotion, our mind's like, oh, we better remember this because this is some form of intensity, right? Like it's like memorable. We need to lock this in. So rather than locking in that rage with someone who is very close to me, like part of my family, I diffused it and I had no connection to it. I was literally like, whatever. Like, I don't think it's right, but I don't emotionally care anymore. And that was really profound for me. And I think that's just the gift of laughter. If we can choose, that's where the magic is. We can free ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just realizing we have choice is freeing. And something that that's really important to me that I was actually just writing about was asking yourself, what's the driving force behind your choices, and when you're coming from a place of love and you're choosing things, even if you don't feel like it in the moment, but you're doing it because of love, because you're like, I know that choosing to laugh right now, even though I don't feel like it, is beneficial and productive and helpful for me, then, it's even more powerful.
Absolutely.
So I know I go through that some mornings. Like some mornings I wake up and it's so easy to just check in with myself and put a smile on my face and start laughing. And there's other days it's really, really hard. Like I don't know why some mornings I still wake up and I still have that anxious sleeping, or my mind is spinning, like, or for some reason the moment my eyes open my mind goes crazy into things. I'm like confused why we're even going there. Or you wake up groggy and but in those moments I'm like dragging my feet to the bathroom, and it's maybe TMI, but it's usually like when I sit down on the toilet that I realize, or that I check in and realize what's happening in my body and decide, no, that's not how I'm going to program or allow my like brain state to be when I wake up in the morning. So I instantly just go hee and smile, and even if it's like that kind of inside like soft giggle, because you don't have the energy to really laugh yet,
just a little hee hee while I pee.
Yeah, a little hee hee while I pee. We have a jingle.
Make a sticker. But our power is within. Hee hee while you pee.
It could happen. At least a post. But yeah, it changes everything. It really does. I think the word you use, diffuse, is so great, because even it diffuses that monkey mind, or my brain wanting to go be furious or angry about some thing that happened yesterday, and it's like, oh no, or worrying about some future event that hasn't happened. It's like, no, we're gonna just be here and laugh right now.
Yeah.
But every time, like 9.5, probably closer to 10 times out of 10, it really does help.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the monkey mind, which is often referred to in, I did a 2-day Vipassana, and like meditation. It's like calming the monkey mind. And laughter actually brings us into, it can put us in a full like trance state, but it activates gamma brainwaves, which is like the highest frequency. And it gets us into what meditators call like the gap, or the zone, where our mind's completely clear. And meditators work at this, like that's like their goal, like they're getting towards that, right? And laughter can activate that so quickly for us that we can be in gamma brainwaves almost instantly. Typically, you get the fully clear mind and things, and all the other physical and mental benefits after like 10 minutes of accumulated laughter. But you go to gamma brainwaves like really quickly, and that's a very high processing space, yet also so clear, which is really interesting to me.
That's super interesting. And I can believe that, because just through personal experiences of how much, often my mind chatter just diminishes, and how still my mind often becomes after a laughter session. Yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I can go back into my bed and check in with myself in a real way and make a decision about, what's next, like what feels right for me in that moment. Do I feel like I want to do a meditation, or turn on a meditative music, or do a visualization, and I feel like I can enter into those more clearly.
Yeah, that's really beautiful
calmly.
that you return to that, because it's like you're back in the present, and you're back in the driver's seat. And then you can check in intuitively and actually pay attention to what you really want, rather than what your mind is telling you or screaming at you to do, which is really cool.
Totally. So what's the difference in your experience from like actually in the body, from laughing, from choosing to laugh, from just, with nothing outside of you, making you laugh, just a conscious choice, versus laughing because somebody told a joke, or you're watching a funny movie? Is there actually differences, or is it pretty much one and the same?
I can't say I've physically noticed it. Okay, I'll say this. I had a real crack up the other day. I saw something on Instagram and I was just losing it. And when I get in hysterics, like you wouldn't even recognize my laughter, even if you've listened to my laughter videos a million times, because my laugh when I'm in hysterics, I'm going to try and do it. It sounds a little bit like this. I can't even laugh. I'm just like whining, and people aren't sure if I'm crying and if I'm okay or if I'm laughing or like what's going on. And people are like, what is happening? Anyway, I was losing it and I was doing that. And I thought it would be funny to try and record it. I didn't manage to record it, of course, because when you're in the height of laughter, your mind's kind of blank. And of course, the last thing I would think about is recording it. But I was like kind of thinking, no one's ever seen me, like even my most avid followers have never seen me laugh like this. So there's a difference in that where I don't get into that level of hysterics when I choose to laugh. I think I have, even the time that I think I've got there is more because I could hear someone else laughing and their laugh was just triggering like that in me, because I was just like having such a great time laughing with them, and their laugh, you know, those laughs that are just kind of really like not funny, like I'm laughing at you because your laugh's ridiculous, but just so good to laugh with.
Yes.
That's what this guy's laugh was like, who was part of the laughter club I used to go to. And so as far as the differences in the body, I don't know that there can be that many on a general basis. I personally feel that I can get into hysterics from stimulus more, because I think sometimes in your mind you make it funnier. It's like if you start laughing when you're in a quiet space and you're not supposed to laugh, you want to laugh even more because of the mental knowing that you're supposed to be quiet and people are going to start staring at you or being like, what are you laughing at or whatever. And that mental aspect can make it even funnier, I personally feel. But on a scientific level, I don't think there's any difference as far as I've known. But in saying that, a lot of the studies that have been done around laughter, and it's cool now because this is changing, but they are about humor and they are about watching a funny movie and laughing, and like the gamma brainwaves one, they were watching funny clips on video. They weren't choosing to laugh. But more and more, there are studies that are coming out around laughter yoga or other practices. I studied with a lady called Anne Rose Hart, and she runs the Quantum Play Institute. So she's created this modality called Quantum Play that helps us to use laughter and play and movement to shift through things, I guess, in a coaching sense. Like people bring their problem, if you will, to the table, and you can kind of shift through and move limiting beliefs and things really easily, and it's amazing. And she teamed with a university recently to do a study on flow and how laughter and play can activate, like get us into a flow state, but from a scientific level. So I can't really tell you about the findings of that study or anything like that, but it's actually really cool that more research is being done into intentional laughter now.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to seeing what, unfolds with that for sure. And you mentioned how you were kind of cracking up because of somebody else's laugh. And that made me think there are always people that just have such a great laugh that just also adds to the humor. Like it makes you crack up even more. So what do you think about
snort in?
yeah. So what do you think about the laughing alone versus laughing together?
Oh, well, I think laughing alone, it has its own power because, like what we've spoken about, just that choice and setting yourself up for the day. But laughing together is extremely powerful. It's, I mean, we're releasing those bonding chemicals. I, funnily enough, spoke to someone yesterday who is an old client, but also used to be part of the laughter club that I was going to pre-COVID. And we were like, oh yeah, I miss laughter club. They were good days. Like they were really good times. Not only for laughing together, but we used to go afterwards across the road to the markets and hang out and have chai and chat for hours. And there's something really beautiful about laughing together.
Yeah, I love that. I've noticed exactly what you said. Like I do think choosing to do it on your own is its own superpower. But when you get to have that experience together, you can almost feed off of each other's energy. It's kind of like how they say, if you meditate together, it's more powerful. So I can't imagine then why the laughter wouldn't be the same experience.
Yeah. I haven't had an in-person laughter session for quite a time, and I've got a couple coming up this month that are already booked in, and I'm like, yes, I'm so excited.
That sounds really fun. I shared this with a friend. This whole concept of laughter is very new to her. And we were in the car together, and we were talking about it. And then she started asking all the typical questions. And I was like, yeah, no, really, like you can just choose to just crack yourself up. And then I started being silly and making all these laughing sounds. And then she started laughing, and then I started laughing. And before you know, we were just both actually cracking up. And I was like, see, we just had a total laughter session.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. It's just kind of like you feed off of each other's energy in that regard too.
Yeah. And I've noticed a lot of like the people that I'm connected to in the laughter world, they are in that, like they're kind of similar to me in that, and probably inspired it in me, is they're just into intentional laughter, like no exercises required. Like we don't need laughter yoga necessarily to have a laughter session.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So I know when we had a previous conversation, I had mentioned some stuff, and I had said the word talking about, being confident to like just choose to laugh and be silly and, playful for your own healing. And I know that you had said something that really stuck with me, which was, why, like we were talking about normalizing it, right? And not needing to necessarily, like in quotations, be silly,
Yeah.
And I think of silly as like a fun, like a really positive thing, like playful, silly, goofy. But I know there can be different perceptions. But I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about what that means, and just, yes, normalizing using this tool of laughter for our well-being in mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, it's a great topic. So, yeah, I think we're in our culture so taught not to laugh because it's not appropriate, it's not funny, you'll hurt someone's feelings, all this stuff. And it's like this real push towards something has to be funny, but funny is so personal to everybody. It's so objective. So I really feel like normalizing laughter is important. The same way normalizing crying or any emotional expression is really important, because we are taught to bottle it up, dust ourselves off, pick ourselves up, get on with it, all that kind of thing. And I guess traditionally men more so, but women too. It's like, the more quote unquote empowered women have become, the more masculine they've become in actual fact. And that goes along with that seriousness, that toughness, that just stereotypical, non-emotional, outwardly powerful, and that's not what real power or choice or freedom is actually about. So I think it's important for us to just emotionally express, and this is, again, something that laughter can help to unlock within people, is they might burst out crying in a laughter session, or they might just end up much more emotionally sensitive through their laughter practice, because we're unlocking emotions and we're releasing what needs to be released. And laughter and tears are the body's natural release system. That's what they're designed for. Laughter is a milestone in a baby's life, but then we just shut it down. It's like we don't use it. And you look at so many other things like movement, exercise, dance, like all these things are out there in the mainstream that are beautiful, and meditation and yoga and all these other inward practices that are becoming more mainstream. It's like, yeah, what about laughter? Like, we all love it. No one hates laughing. And the only reason someone would is because they've been conditioned to believe maybe that it's wrong, it's bad, their laugh is weird, or something like that. Like, which again, laughter could help them release those beliefs and find freedom. So yeah, I think it's really important for us to normalize it and to build, especially with, I don't like referring to what's going on, but we need to be real about where we're living and the quote unquote times we're living in. We're behind the screen more versus in person. You know, I was standing in a line yesterday. The security guard came out and told us, like, we're lined up outside the government building that I was out the front of to go get my license renewed. And it's like, guys, I'm going to have to ask you to separate further, stand on the dots, you know, all this kind of BS that I really don't like. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
All of this fear around being around other people, it's being bred into us. There's signs everywhere. We're being cautioned. We're being told to stay away from each other. And I have a nearly 2.5-year-old son, and I worry about the world that he's going to grow up in. I'm getting emotional just talking about it, because fearing other humans and connection it's already causing huge problems, and it was before COVID. But now, like, the rates of suicide, domestic violence, you know, depression, anxiety, all of these things are on the rise. And we need that emotional release. We need that connection to ourselves and each other so much. It's a need. It's a human need. Like, we need it.
Yes, I so agree with all of that. And I think, to add to it too, something that makes it even more powerful, I realized as you were giving these examples, was that laughter, there's no limitations. Other than if somebody doesn't have the ability to have voice, they might not be able to, like, have a vocal laugh, but you can still have a visceral response of laughter. And I think movement and dance and yoga, those are all great. But if you're somebody who might have limitations in your body or movement restrictions, maybe you can't engage in those. You know, maybe if you're bed bound or wheelchair bound, you don't have access to these other forms of emotional release. And laughter is something that I can't think of a single way that somebody would be limited to still express and experience laughter.
I thought the same. And a long time ago, I ran a laughter session with a community group. I was running it for a friend because she was double booked, and she was like, hey, I've got this group. I run it with them every year. They're beautiful ladies. Anyway, I went in this group of ladies, and okay, cool. Who's joining in the laughter session? And I was like, why would everyone not be joining the laughter session? That's what we're here for today. But anyway, one lady sat out and she was like, I can't laugh. And I was like, yeah, everyone can laugh. And this further illustrates the point that I was just making. So it's so beautifully tied together. But it's crazy to me. She'd ruptured her stomach because she'd suppressed her emotions and anger so much.
Wow.
And it was the second time that she'd done it, and she'd had surgery. So she literally had stitches that could split if she was going to laugh with us. I don't even know how she stayed in the room and didn't laugh. But I guess if you're that good at suppressing your emotions, you know, you're well practiced if you've ruptured your stomach. So she stayed, and she enjoyed us laughing and the sound and the energy of the laughter. But yeah,
she got the benefit.
There are very few situations, but I was kind of in the same mind as you, like, everyone can do it, come on, like. And she was like, no, I can't, or I'll break the stitches. I was like, oh, fair play. Okay.
Oh, well, I think that's very limited, though. Very a small amount of people that would get to fall under that category in comparison to the alternatives. But, you know, that's really cool that she still showed up to receive the mirror neuron benefits, you know, to still get that experience in the way she could. And I mean, yeah, I wonder if she could have done the little, like, where it's not in your belly, just your, like, just your throat. Who knows?
Yeah, and I think I don't know this group as intimately as my friend did, but I think she'd probably been there in prior years where they had done it together and she'd probably enjoyed it. And that's why she chose to show up, because it's a good time, and she probably knew that already. But it's interesting to see that everyone, you just got to meet people where they're at. And sometimes we need that reminder, like I did. Like, no, I'm here. You can't make me laugh.
Okay. There's some exceptions to the rule.
But very few.
Yes, exactly. So when you were talking about using laughter to diffuse the anger, I want to address this and kind of have you speak on behalf of this, because there could be people, I could see how there could be someone listening saying, but we're taught to not, you're not supposed to like repress emotions, or you're supposed to feel your emotions because you have to like, honor your emotions. You don't want to have what happened to that lady and repress things. So how can someone discern when it's appropriate to diffuse an emotion with laughter versus when are they actually using laughter to repress or avoid it? Because the people who kind of are really sarcastic and they laugh when they're really in pain and it's a warranted time to actually be sad, but they just laugh it off.
Yeah.
That I feel like could be like you're repressing or avoiding. But what you did really sounds like you were really diffusing the maybe the exaggerated, heightened component of the emotion. So how could we help people understand how to discern this?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And I love this interview because the questions you've brought are like, yes, I want to speak on this. This is so important. So thank you. So what I wonder about the people who sarcastically laugh is if it's their body, same as a nervous laugh, like automatically responding and trying to bring them back into balance because they are repressing and not releasing. So that could be a thing that their body's actually trying to release. So what I would say as well, and I know that a lot of people misinterpret laughter as a tool to move through things as, avoidance or over optimism or trying to like be all happy all of the time. No, that's not what it's about. It comes back to that choice. And I guess through all of the work that I've done, through coaching, through intuitive work that I've done, through so many different things, it's like it's so important to witness and experience all of ourselves. And there are parts of ourselves that feel darker or denser or more heavy than others. So I think firstly it's important to acknowledge the emotion or the thought or the whatever that's coming up that's making you feel how you feel. And you don't have to go into it. You don't have to buy into it and stay there. But feeling it is important and acknowledging it is important in order to shift through it. And depending on the situation, you might need to dig a little deeper and understand a little more in order to go, oh, that's what I'm shifting. But a lot of the time you don't. You just need to feel the emotion and choose to release. And you can use laughter. You could use tears. You could have a tantrum. Like, I'm a massive fan of having a tantrum in a contained space, not in public, not ranting at someone or punching them or anything, but punching your pillow, screaming into your pillow, kicking around. Your body needs to release that energy because energy is made to move. So I think it's important, to acknowledge the emotion, notice what's there. And if you need to sit with it and you're like genuinely like, no, I don't need to laugh or I don't want to laugh, cool. But if it hasn't shifted after like a day, that's way too long, because the peak of an emotion only lasts like a couple of minutes. That's it. And then it fades a little. It might still be there, but it's in a different form. But that's when we have the choice. Okay, like it's sitting there. Do I want to shift it? Do I want to hold on to it and sit with it? Like, what do I want to do? But it is important to acknowledge all of it. And it's not just about laughing things off and yeah, I had a collaboration I was working on last year, and the lady wanted to call it like laughing off autoimmunity, and I was like, no, like, I'm not having that attached to my name. That's definitely not what I'm about. I don't condone that. I think it's easily misinterpreted. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is part of the superpower too. Like you were just saying, is it's okay. Like we get to feel emotions, we get to feel and honor our emotions, and then we also get to choose to elevate our mood. So that it's not like an either or. It's like you actually get to do both if you want to, so that you don't have that emotion become a mood, or that becomes a personality.
Totally. And I think, in the personal development world and the spiritual world, like a lot of people want to sit in their darkness because they feel that it's like, in my eyes, they kind of punish themselves and be like, I have to sit here till I learn something, till I have an epiphany, till I whatever. And I'm like, well, no, maybe the epiphany is letting it go and moving on. Maybe that's where your power is, and that's what could be learned or gained here.
Yeah.
But it is something that people fall into, is like this over identifying with that emotion, that mood, that state of being, whatever it is, and kind of becoming that and feeling scared to leave that, actually.
Yeah. It's like two ends of the spectrum, and you don't want to be in like all the way on one side. You want to be in that middle ground, because you don't want to be in that toxic positivity, but then you also don't want to be what you said, where I'm not over there in toxic positivity, but I'm going to go ahead and just sit here and stay in this darkness. Yeah. How would you suggest, for anyone who's listening, they could start incorporating laughter as a tool in their life, whether they're wanting to improve their overall mental, mindset, their emotional state of being? Maybe they're actually currently using other modalities and tools to also heal things physically, and this could be new to them. What would you suggest? Like, where's a good place to start? Is there a certain kind of magical time frame of how much time you would commit over the course of the day to laughter? Is it better in chunks versus all at once? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no wrong or right. It depends where you're at and what's good for you. And again, there can be physical and energetic limitations depending on where a person's coming from as well. So, one way that I recommend, if you're starting a practice on your own and you're wanting to start your own daily practice, say when you wake up and not get on a computer or watch a screen to go through a session, is like increments of laughter. So you would do a chunk, and ideally you would work your way up to 10 minutes of accumulated laughter, because that's where the benefits really kick in, like the really long-term benefits. But you can start with just turning on a timer and go, 10 seconds of laughter, and then stop and breathe for 10 seconds, and then laugh for 20 seconds, and then stop and breathe, and then build it up so that you then laugh for a minute. And you might do that for a week or so until you're like, yeah, a minute's actually pretty easy, and then you can bump it up a little. And once you're in the practice of laughing, because you're going to feel awkward if you've never used it as a tool before, I'll tell you right now, it does feel weird, because we're not used to it and we're not encouraged to do it, and it's not something you're used to. And any new thing we try feels uncomfortable and awkward at first, whether it's learning a new job, a new language, learning an instrument, going somewhere we've never been before and trying to navigate our way around. There's that slight discomfort, but we get past it because we just keep going. If we stop, then yeah, we're never going to get through it. So build that up. And then the next thing I would recommend is then just use it in your day-to-day, like walk around laughing. Notice, the thing I love about people retraining their brains and DNRSs and there's vital side, there's so many other modalities as well, is that you guys are so aware of what's going on in your body, what's going on in your mind, that you can catch things way quicker than a lot of other people. So catching thoughts and then playing with, hey, Bianca said this idea of like shifting and transmuting through laughter. So what if I could have this thought or this idea and really just laugh with it, not at it, not about it, not at myself for thinking it, not any of that. What if I could just choose to laugh and hold this thought in my mind at the same time? And just notice what happens there. And that's one of my favorite ways to use laughter. It's a bit of an advanced one and better if you're like into laughter. But I know some of your listeners probably have been using laughter and have been retraining their brains, and elevating those practices is something I'm now shifting into, doing a little collaboration with Lindsay from Vital Side. Yeah. So, and if you're starting out and you do just want to go, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, I want someone to guide me, jump on YouTube. You can find one of my sessions or many other sessions there. Laughter yoga, laughter wellness, whatever. And you can do like a structured session and be guided through.
That makes sense. 10 minutes of laughter in a row. It is where you're saying there's a lot of benefits that begin kicking in?
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be 10 minutes in a row. It needs to be accumulated. I can't tell you the exact period of time, but say like over a session. If you're doing like a half an hour session or an hour laughter session, then you're going to naturally going through the motions of the breathing, the clapping, all the rest. You're going to accumulate that laughter. It depends on who's facilitating as well. I did a session recently with a friend, and it was like pretty much pure laughter. We would just exercise, breath every now and then, exercise. And we did that for 10 minutes. So it was like very condensed. Whereas in a laughter wellness session, you've got the positive reinforcements, kind of like affirmations or mantras or focus on gratitude or like different exercises between. Then you're going to accumulate the laughter a little bit slower, but you're also building other positive energy at the same time.
Okay. All right. Because I was like, wow, 10 minutes of actual laughing in a row. That's a workout.
It's a workout. You can do it.
That's a workout.
And you can find videos online. I've got one where I was in a bad mood. I think it's about a 16-minute video because I intro and then I debrief at the end. But I did 10 or 12 minutes of laughter, and I was like really in a bad mood, not prepared to do a video. Like I didn't plan it or anything. Picked up my phone and was like, I am really in a rut today and just can't seem to shift the energy. So I'm going to do some laughter. And I lied down in the bed and did laughter. And it surprised me how easily it came that day, because I really didn't think it would come very easily. But hot tip for people who are getting into laughter and haven't tried it before, lying down. Oh, so good. Lying down and laughing. You can find videos that are just pure laughter and get your 10 minutes in, but you can also do a slower practice.
Awesome. I love it. And so, yeah, you're already kind of talking a little bit about the difference between laughter yoga and laughter wellness. And from my understanding, it sounds like it's a little bit more holistic, the laughter wellness approach, where you kind of are addressing other, like improving and helping support other shifts in the neuroplasticity, as well as through laughter with the affirmations you made mention, gratitudes and things like that. So are there actually laughter wellness classes and coaches as well as laughter yoga, like in addition to?
Perhaps. As far as coaches, there's people certified in laughter wellness, like I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what was I going to throw back to? Oh, you said that 10 minutes of laughter is a workout, which it can be. But what I was suggesting before as well, once you get into the practice of laughing, if you're just moving around the house, and I got this from Madan Kataria, I saw one of his videos of how he just toddles around the house doing stuff in the morning, and he's just laughing like gently, just like. It doesn't have to be ha ha, like it doesn't have to be overly exerted. Sorry if you got headphones in and you're on high volume, you really copped it in the ears just then. It doesn't have to be super high energy laughter for you to get the benefits, because part of the benefits is just your diaphragm movement. That's a huge thing, that and the deep breaths that we take in between the laughter is really important as well. So you're still going to get the benefits even if you're doing like what I would call like a gentle laughter. So on to your question about laughter yoga, laughter wellness difference. So laughter yoga, typically very high energy, super playful. You're doing things like riding your laughter motorbike around, making laughter milkshakes, swinging through the jungle like Tarzan, being a laughter robot. Like it's pretty far-fetched for some adults to do, especially if they don't have kids and they're not into play, like they haven't been practicing play. Feels very out of the comfort zone for a lot of people. And also it's very intense for people who don't have a lot of energy. Because there is a lot of physical movement typically, not every session, but typically it is very intense. Traditional laughter yoga, you're only taking one breath between your laughing and chanting. One breath. Wow. I did that one time. I was like, what is this? This is intense. And then the lady who trained me in laughter wellness, who's also trained in laughter yoga, she's like, oh yeah, that's the way. Like that's the traditional way to do it. Whereas I was trained to take 3 breaths in between. So it can be very energetically taxing, I guess, at the same time as it's energizing. It's kind of weird. So that's that. And it's got the 3 components that I mentioned before. So laughter exercises, breathing, and the rhythmic exercises like clapping. And we typically chant when we're clapping as well. Laughter wellness was created by Sebastian Gendry, who had worked in laughter yoga and traveled the world and trained people as laughter yoga instructors for years. And what he realized was a lot of the things in laughter yoga weren't necessary. They were getting people out of the comfort zone a lot. And what I mean by not necessary is like laughter yoga can involve a lot of pantomime and acting out situations and things like that. And he kind of came around to the same conclusion as me and a lot of the colleagues I mentioned before, of like, you just need the laughter. Like you don't need an exercise, although laughter wellness has exercises. So what he decided to do was kind of bring in what he knew about cognitive behavioral therapy and also make it more of a practice where people can take away practical tools. I mean, you're probably not going to bust out a laughter robot in the middle of the office if you're feeling stressed, right? Like it's just not a practical on-the-go kind of tool. So he wanted stuff that people could take away from a session and use in their day-to-day lives. So making it more practical, making it more accessible in that people aren't so far out of their comfort zones that they're new to laughter, so they already feel awkward. And then they're made to act out these things that seem ridiculous to them. So they're already awkward. They're even more awkward and uncomfortable. And that causes tension in the body. Like we mentioned before, that maybe there's not a difference between simulated laughter, comedy laughter, chosen laughter. But when there's that tension in the body, it's there. Like you're holding the tension. There's no 2 ways about it. So he incorporated this extra section that's called what we call positive reinforcements. And so that might be an affirmation or a mantra. That might be an exercise that focuses in on gratitude or love, appreciation. Pride is a really big one that I love to tap into because people do not celebrate themselves enough and feel proud of what they've done and what they've achieved. We're in an achievers society where it's like, oh, that's not good enough, on to the next thing, but they've got that and I've only done this, and this comparison and striving and all that kind of thing, and people forget how far they've come. So that's a really big one that I focus on, is that pride and celebration. But any positive energy, really, we're cultivating that through even the breathing exercises that we're doing, but also through these specific positive reinforcements exercises. So we're really building and sustaining positive energy, and then also, of course, using the laughter and using play. So the laughter segment of the session, which kind of goes around in rounds, can also be play. So in laughter wellness, we can dance with a balloon. We can, dance. We can sing a song. We can do any form of game or play or whatever. I did a play shop with Sebastian before I trained, and he ran an exercise where we had to, and this is not one of the practical tools that you would take away, by the way. This was a play shop, so you're coming to play. But we put feathers on the back of our hands. So you have your hand flat with your palm facing down to the ground. And you've got to balance this feather on your hand, move around the room, and try to blow other people's feathers off their hand at the same time as keeping yours on your hand. So there's like no sudden movement, right? But you've got to like glide around the room and try to disrupt the other person's feather. Probably not a COVID-friendly game to blow on people's hands, but that's another story. But just these games that get us thinking in new ways, that get us behaving in new ways, but not necessarily extremely out of the comfort zone, that can open up our minds to new possibilities and change our habits and our patterns of thought, belief, feeling, etc. So I find it to be very powerful because it brings a lot of the elements, as I say, coming from coaching, a lot of the other elements that aren't in laughter yoga that I find in laughter wellness. So typically people find laughter wellness a bit more of a gentle practice in that they're not physically exerted when they finish, but they're feeling really high, really appreciative, really proud of themselves, really energized, relaxed, and they've had all those beautiful benefits of laughter. And I know you mentioned a heart coherence thing before we jumped online. Like gratitude itself has so much power, and science has cottoned onto that. So that in itself is hugely beneficial and regenerative for our systems. So I found it much more well-rounded in the benefits that it's offering, and much more accessible to people because it's been designed in a way where, like, basically in laughter wellness, you're not supposed to be doing a crazy laughter exercise that's super out of the comfort zone. And if you are, it's like towards the end of a session. It's not like first cab off the rank. Like, let's ride our laughter motorbikes around the room. Because it's that gentle easing in. So I find for first timers, it's a very easy practice to slide into and then do something a little bit more intensive like laughter yoga.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And I'm really glad that you brought up the emotion pride, because I feel in our culture that sometimes this has such a negative connotation wrapped around it. Like we're almost taught that we're not allowed to be prideful because that's a bad thing. And
because you're cocky or you're egotistical or whatever, right? You're up
and
yourself.
It's not like either or. It's not black and white like that. And yeah, it's okay for us to be proud of ourselves, especially when we're doing things that are loving and supportive and positive and healthy and healing. And I think it's a really important emotion that we often I know I used to struggle with allowing myself to feel proud because, it felt like, oh, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be, all these negative things. And it took a long time to realize that this can actually be a really healthy, healing emotion to feel. And we're all worthy of it.
And when we're doing it combined with something like celebration, or we're incorporating it into a laughter wellness session, it's, we're bringing in those feel-good hormones. So like dopamine, like that reward chemical is creeping in while we're proud of ourselves. So it's like we're programming our system to be like, yeah, this is good, do it again. Yeah. So it's a very, you're reprogramming so easily without even thinking about it. You're just like, oh, this is fun, this is enjoyable, sure, I'll focus on that. And like the work that's being done in your system is so powerful at the same time.
Yeah, the laughter wellness description, it kind of makes me feel like you brought up heart math, and it feels like a combination. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Is it's kind of combining this laughter with almost like creating heart coherence while you're also, you know, engaging in other tools as well simultaneously.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I feel the same. It's not something that's been linked before or that Sebastian said he put in there, but I feel like in my body, I feel like it's doing that as well.
Mm-hmm. So are you allowed to share with us what you and Lindsay got simmering, or is it still secrets?
Yeah, I can share a little. We're not officially launching yet, so you might have heard it here first. So we've got something coming up in a few months that's helping brain retrainers to elevate their practice. So a lot of people have trained for months or years or whatever. They've hit a new level in their health and their wellness and their healing journey. And they're kind of looking for more tools to continue on and take them into the next chapter of their lives, whether they're just healing at a different level and they're not, you know, moving from bedridden to a different scenario, or they're moving into work, like they're returning to the workforce or whatever it is. They're hitting that new chapter and they've kind of done a lot of the things that they've been doing for quite a while. And it's really helping them to elevate their practice. And I'm so excited for what we are bringing together, because Lindsay's just a wealth of information. Like, she's just so tapped in on a neuroscience level and, you know, knows so much about the limbic system, and she's in it every day, running Vital Side, working with her one-on-one clients and all these kinds of things, helping people to retrain their brains. And I'm going to be real, when I first heard about the DNRS and everything, I was like freaking out. Like, I'm not a medical professional. Like, where do I fit in here? How do I help? And I was like, well, I'm already helping thousands of people with my laughter, so how about I just do that? But really, coming from a coaching background, and like I said at the start, one of the things I've realized is, like, I'm talking about that, exactly that, rewiring our minds. And so we're kind of bringing both of our expertise together to help people with shifting their identity, because it's common for people to also then start identifying as a brain retrainer or a DNRS or a this or that. And then when we stick that label on ourselves, it keeps us in that world, in that mindset, in that life, when really maybe we want to move somewhere else, but we're like, oh no, but I'm this. It says so on my Instagram profile, right? Like, so we're working on something pretty different from what I understand, that I don't think there's anything else like it out there, where we're really helping people to elevate not only their brain retraining practice, but their lives and who they are and how they're showing up in the world, of what that means for them and their families and those around them. So it's really exciting.
I love it. I'm excited too. Yeah, I think that's going to be awesome. And so where would people be able to get more information on it when they're listening to this, if they want to learn more, stay up to date with it all?
Yeah, it's well, if we're past June 2021 and you're listening now, you'll be able to find it on my website, biancaspears.com, and vital-side.com. And for now, keep your eyes peeled, like, connect with us on social media. Yeah, just keep an eye out. We'll be definitely announcing things. We've already started to kind of do some interviews and play, and that's only going to ramp up as we move towards the official launch of everything.
Awesome. Yay.
Yes.
I look forward personally to learning more about it. My curiosity has been piqued. Lindsay's fantastic as well. So yeah. It's going to be awesome. I have a couple more questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Shifting gears just a little bit. I'm really curious, what does living by design mean to you?
Living by design. Oh, cool. Well, I kind of just touched a little bit into that with talking about what we've got coming up. So living by design really, to me, is again, we're coming back to that choice. I'm going to really drill it in here, but it's so simple. It's our choice. and really choosing each step of the way what that looks like for us. So basic stuff. How are you dressing in the morning? You know, where do you live? What's around you, both inside your home and outside? Like, no one's forcing you to live where you want to live. It may be extremely difficult for you for whatever reason to move right now. But again, it comes back to that choice and really helping people to design their life, their lifestyle. I mean, for years, I've helped entrepreneurs to create businesses that support the lifestyle that they want, where they can live the laptop lifestyle, they can travel and they can move around and they can live on their terms, really. And that's what living by design is about for me, is like consciously choosing and creating what you want and just living and enjoying that.
Yeah. Choice is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably going to, the next question's probably going to piggyback off your answer.
That's okay.
But do you have a message that you just feel like you're on this planet, in this life, in your body, here on Earth, planet Earth at this time to share and spread a message?
Yeah, it's really that you're creating everything, and you can create anything you choose to. That's as simple as it is. And some people might be like, I'm creating everything, like my life's a mess. Take that as evidence that whatever you thought and whatever you chose in the past led you to there. But you created that. And that's the beauty of it, is like you can create something totally different today and moving forward. Yeah, that's the message.
I really like Peter Crone. He has a quote he says, and I won't be able to say it verbatim, but it basically says that you didn't, like, if you got sick or whatever it is, whatever circumstances you're in right now, it's not your fault. It is from your conditioning, which is of no fault of your own. But now that you know what you know, you get to choose something different. Like, you get to choose now to like step into healing, into your personal power, into creating the life you want to create by, basically healing this conditioning. So yeah, I got here. My life's a mess. It's not my fault. It's just, I'm a byproduct of my conditioning, but now I know what I know, and what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, I really like that, because that fault and self-blame and self-beat up is something that's definitely incorporated into Elevate, because last year when I was speaking to people, I noticed that was a common theme, and it's not just for people who are healing and have had their perfect storm. It's everyone anyway. It's all the entrepreneurs that I work with. It's me in my own personal life. We have this habit of really blaming ourselves and beating ourselves up. But we have that choice, just like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's another message that often gets misconstrued. It's like when you're trying to teach people like, hey, you have the power, you are powerful, you have choices, you can shift. It can be easy for some people to instantly take on that fault. Like, oh, well, if I'm creating everything and my life sucks and I hate it, I'm at fault. And it's like, it's never about fault. It's never about fault. It's just about new realization that leads to choice.
Absolutely.
And so let's see, do you have, on top of all this that we've been talking about, do you have any other advice for anyone, anywhere who's listening? Is there just like advice that you would want to share with anyone wherever they're at in their journey?
Just choose what you want and explore. I'm a big explorer. Explore other options of things you've been doing up until this point in whatever, in your relationships, in your health, in your work life, whatever. If it hasn't worked for you so far, like, give something else a go. Just explore and see what's out there, because the more you do, the more you can realize what's aligned and what's not aligned for you, what feels good and what doesn't. And the more options and opportunities you can create for yourself through the expansion of all of that. So if you've never tried laughter before, try laughter. Maybe you don't like it. Fine. It's not for everybody. It's not something that everybody prefers. It can definitely benefit everybody. But yeah, just open up and sit in that creator's seat and go, what would I love right now? What would I love for me right now? And choose from that space.
Mm-hmm. What are you up to these days? I know you're working on this side thing with Lindsay.
Yeah.
What else are you up to, and what ways can people connect? Can they connect to you?
Yes. So my website at this moment in time being rebuilt, but soon to open, so you can connect with me there. I run a Skyrocket system, which is for entrepreneurs who are looking to elevate their experience. It can become very, I guess, similar to brain retraining, very serious, very dense, very heavy, very overwhelming. And I help people to really just kind of Tinkerbell their way through it, just like ding, ding, ding. Like, it really doesn't have to be difficult. Can be simple and super easy. So I help entrepreneurs to do that. And yeah, what I've got coming up with Lindsay is, I guess we can call it a side thing, but it's definitely something Lindsay and I are looking at well into the future. And, you know, we've thrown ideas around about, hey, like in years to come, when travel's open again, like, you know, could we run Elevate retreats and things like that? So it's definitely something that's going to be around for a while. It's not just a like, oh yeah, we're doing one thing. It's something that we've both got quite a long-term vision with. And they're the main two ways that I've got out there at the moment for people to work with me. And of course, if you want to laugh, jump on YouTube, completely free to laugh together there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for just bringing the experiences you've had and, you know, your expertise and practice with laughter, bringing it to the table, hopefully introducing some new people to this whole concept of choice and choosing to just laugh for the fun of it and for the benefits and the health of it. And yeah, thanks for just being a part of this.
You're so welcome. Thank you. It's been beautiful to be here.
Okay, so we're going to finish off with a little laugh together to just get people on board with this laughter experience. So for anyone who is listening right now, wherever you're at, I encourage you to just laugh with us for the next minute. Are you ready?
Cool. Taking a nice deep breath in. Let's go. Bye, everyone.
That is a wrap. Thanks for being here and laughing with us today. I hope you find so many reasons every day to laugh, even when nothing feels funny. And do not forget to practice self-love through acts of service this week and have fun with it. And until next time, make this week great.